Hello. Hello. Test,
What's
test.
up?
Hey, can you hear me?
What's going on? Yep, I got you.
I feel like every Zoom video starts like this. At least for me, it does. How's it going, man?
Good. How about you?
I don't think I'm good. I'm good. I don't think you met my friend Malachi. That's the other guy.
I don't know if I know Malachi or not.
No. There he is. Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
What's up, man?
Not much. How are you?
How's it going? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
This is my friend Kevin I used to work with.
Hey,
Gotcha.
Malachi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, so here's how we're gonna do this. I'm just gonna set a time limit on certain topics. Basically just NFL draft recap stuff. Because I'm a Cowboys fan and Malachi's an Eagles fan. I feel like we'll go like maybe 3 minutes each division, but for the NFC East, we'll do 5 minutes. How about that?
Yeah, okay.
Works.
Sorry, Kevin. Sorry.
I don't. You know me. I'm a college. I can give you insight on the guys coming from college to the NFL. I'm not much of an NFL guy.
All right, Malachi. I know you have a lot to say about what the Eagles did, Malachi. So I'm gonna start the clock right now. Go ahead.
Well, at first, when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts, 'cause let's be honest, that was the big one. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what are they thinking? But now that I've thought about it a little bit more, did a little more research, heard some some input from some experts, quote unquote. I actually think it was a good pick. I would have preferred the third round, but at the same time, you could have lost him. He's a great quarterback. Let's be honest, he played 3 years at Alabama and 1 year at Oklahoma. Heisman Trophy runner-up. If you look at his stats, over 4 years, he threw for 9,500 yards and rushed for another 3,200 yards. 80 touchdowns, only 20 picks, QB rating of a 162. I mean, completed 65% of his passes. He's a great dual threat quarterback. Fits very well in the Carson Wentz, probably even more mobile than Carson Wentz is. And the big thing is with Philadelphia, Carson Wentz has only finished one complete season, and that was his rookie year. He did finish, pretty much all of last season, the regular season, but he got hurt at the end of the playoff game. So we had our backup quarterback, and we had injuries with backups last year. And, when our backup quarterback right now is Nate Sudsfield, at Indiana. They had to get a better backup. I just wasn't expecting them to draft Jalen Hurts. I think that's what kind of just caught me off guard with that one. The other one, too, is, of course, the first overall pick. They picked up the wide receiver from TCU. A lot of people thought they should have got the wide receiver from LSU, but they went with speed. Howie, the general manager, Howie Roseman, went and said the things he was looking for in this draft were a player that loves football, speed, and healthy. And he got that with pretty much all of the players that you look at. If you switch over and you look at the team as a whole, David Taylor, the linebacker from Colorado that they got, he's extremely fast. They got a good steal as a safety. Wallace from Clemson, he's a stud in the fourth round. That was a great pick there. If I had to say one thing that I didn't like was drafting 3 wide receivers in the draft. And they traded it and got a veteran wide receiver as well. So we're bringing in essentially 4 wide receivers on one weekend. And I just looked at the roster now. We have 16 wide receivers on the roster. 16. Wow. Come on.
Including undrafted free agents.
Well, that does include the undrafted free agents. So that includes them into the 16 because they picked up a couple of those. So they got a kid from Boise State. That's another speed guy, and another guy from Arizona. I mean, they're going with speed.
I was gonna say on Philadelphia's draft class, it's not that bad of a class. I mean, it was just Jalen Rieger is gonna be a player for you guys. I believe he's really good.
Yeah.
If you could say that maybe the LSU guy was better, or Brandon and the Arizona State guy as well. Brandon Anuk. Maybe you guys could have gone with him. But Rieger's is good, just as good as those guys. Again, with Hurts, I mean, I think it's just the shock factor because you have a guy like Carson Wentz, and but as you said, having that security at that position, at the most important position in sports, is viable. It's viable, and I understand why the Eagles did what they did. Fans are going to be fans. They're going to complain. They're going to trash things immediately when it happens. But, just wait until he gets his number called, and, it could turn out to be a great gamble for Philadelphia.
Exactly. And the NFL is going to be adding another game on to the season, too. In a year or two? We're going to make 17 regular season games. So, I mean, that's even more time that Carson Wentz can get hurt. So, having a great backup quarterback in Jalen Hurts like that, I mean, I think it's great. And so, I mean, he could have been a first rounder.
I'm not sure how great of an NFL quarterback he'll be, but he will be someone like the Saints use and just have that extra dynamic. He'll play with Wentz in a lineup. They'll both be on the field multiple times at this, and that gives them a dynamic look on offense. And it just makes the defense prepare for them. He can do a whole lot on the football field. And we know he can run the ball. He's not afraid to run over players. So I actually think that even if it's not just in backup duty or for injuries, you're going to see a lot of him early on. And I think that's what makes the pick so valuable for the Eagles, even though they have a proven starter.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be on the field no matter what, whether he's playing quarterback, running back, wide out, wildcat, something. Yeah, they'll have him on the field. So I agree.
Having all these wide receivers is not going to be a problem for you guys either, because you guys have been looking for pass catchers and looking for consistency at that position. And, one thing about the Dallas Cowboys is they always find these players from Boise State. And John Hightower was a guy I looked at because I'm thinking, man, I know Dallas is going to look at him. But let's transition into that because the 5 minutes already ran out. But while I'm talking about Hightower and the Cowboys, let's talk about what Dallas did this weekend, where it was such a strange situation because, like, usually when you're watching the draft, you're hoping for something to happen, but then like something bad happens and you react, and it was like, there's no way CeeDee Lamb's going to drop to 17. There's no way. Now, I thought initially that, some great player was going to drop to 17, either because I knew the Jets weren't going to take a receiver. I knew they were going to go offensive line. And the French pick would have been between Tampa Bay or the 49ers. And both of those teams could have took wide receivers, and they didn't. So either, San Francisco could have took a receiver. They took Kinlaw. So either Kinlaw or one of the three top receivers were going to drop. And it happened to be the best receiver in the draft with CeeDee Lamb. But on top of that, second round, no way Trayvon Diggs makes it down there.
You had it two rounds in a row. 2 rounds in a row that Dallas had great players that probably should have been taken up ahead of them. Fell right in their lap. And credit to them that they jumped on it and, took advantage of a player like that falling in their lap on both of them. Both of those guys, neither one of those guys should have gotten to Dallas in their spot.
I feel like that went on for like all the first 5 rounds with Gallimore, Trey Nutt.
I really like the Wisconsin center.
I mean,
is a stud, and it's in a place where they need with Frederick just retiring.
I was talking with some of my buddies, and they kept telling me, oh, they need to address offensive line. And I'm like, no, we have some veterans, and we're gonna, just patch and have a competition in camp. But when they traded up, I knew exactly what they were going to do. So they had a plan, and I don't know. It was such a strange draft to have. I mean, like I said, I said this earlier on social media. Having a great draft doesn't guarantee success. But man, the Cowboys really they really hit out the park this weekend. I think. And maybe that's
I agree.
why
I thought they had the best draft. I thought they had the best draft in the league.
Malachi.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say they had a great draft. I guess my only question with CeeDee Lamb is, did you need CeeDee Lamb that bad? Could have you gotten another player at another position with more the same value? Don't get me wrong, CeeDee Lamb's great. I think he's a stud, and he is one of the top 2-3 wide receivers in the draft.
I mean,
but
everyone was thinking pass rusher or safety at that 17 spot. But, a player of that caliber drops to you, and he can – after Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, who do we have, really? So, a chance to really take our offenses to the next level. They talk about the 11 personnel with the 3 receivers and having Ezekiel Elliott, having a running game like we have, and then having those threats at receivers. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for the entire league, and I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. Besides the excitement about Lamb and Diggs, pass rushers, Bradley and I'm telling you, in the 5th round, I don't know. It's hard to get excited about a 5th round pick, but he's good. He was one of the top pass rushers in the Pac-12. All-American player in the 5th round. How does that happen?
Utah's line was one of the best lines in college football last year too. He can play, and I think he maybe even got overlooked a little bit because of how good the other guys on that defensive line were. So I agree. He's up and down. They just had a really, really good draft, and I don't know. You guys know this more than me. Like what they were looking for in philosophies, but it seemed like that they were taking the best player available when they had the opportunity. And instead of, just being pigeonholed by like, oh, okay, this position, this round we're drafting this position, or we need this. Like you said, they could have gone for an edge rusher or someone on the D line, but when Lamb falls to them, they have to take him. And It's only going to make them better. Now they have 3 weapons for Prescott, and it will open up even more room for Ezekiel Elliott too, because you have 3 guys that are really dangerous in the passing game.
Kevin, I want you to tell me more, because I'm thinking that you might have some insight on this quarterback out of Pine Richland that got drafted, Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, he's not going to make your team.
You don't think so? They're hyping him up. They said he was young Jake Delhomme. That's what they were saying.
Would you want young Jake Delhomme on your team? It took him a while to do anything.
As a backup?
I don't know. I saw some really, really bad Ben DiNucci at Pitt. Really, really bad Ben DiNucci.
Oh, no.
So, and there's a reason why he was forced out twice, basically.
Oh, wow.
And then ended up on a 1AA team. So, and he didn't have a scholarship until he won the state championship. He didn't have a Division I offer until he won the state championship. And right around Christmas time, he signed with Pitt. He got his first Division I offer the last month of the recruiting calendar. So he's always been kind of an underdog. Maybe he'll continue with that, but I can't see that he's an NFL quarterback.
Have you watched any of his stuff from
I watched him this year.
James Madison?
James Madison made a pretty good run this year. They might have got it to the championship game or the semifinal.
Yeah.
But I actually watched them in the playoffs this year. And he's improved and his numbers improved, but
you don't
seeing him struggle so much against, the ACC's Power 5, but they're not great.
No.
You know, in his first year at James Madison, he really struggled. So if he does succeed, more power to him. I'll give him credit, but
But you don't see it.
I don't see it. No.
Listen, they were dropping all these obscure quarterback names because I was like, I got a text. I was playing like, you know, a video game. I was like, I don't even care who we draft in the 7th round. We already won the draft, whatever. I get a text. Oh, the Cowboys drafted a kid from Pound Richard, and I'm like, what? So
yeah, he's I mean, when I said he won't make the team, he will probably make the team as a practice squad person for the first year.
yeah,
Because he's a draft pick. You know,
McCarthy has a
can't
connection to
imagine.
him.
I can't imagine him playing a snap in the NFL.
Yeah, and McCarthy might keep him around. He has a connection because I guess he knows his dad or I don't
Pittsburgh,
know.
yeah, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, McCarthy.
connection. Yeah.
So thinking of Pittsburgh, we're just gonna. I don't know. I had a plan to talk about each division, but I don't know. I'm just gonna, you know, I'm kind of winging it here, guys. But
That's fine.
Kevin, I know that you don't care about, you know, pro stuff so much, but you know about the college stuff. About Pittsburgh, about the Steelers, I'm sensing from the fan base. You know, we've had a day to let the draft, you know, marinate. I get the sense here in town that, you know, many Steeler fans are disappointed. Why is that?
Well, I think the first thing is it's tough to really get excited about a draft when you're not picking until number 49. So you're not going to get I mean, I shouldn't say you're not going to. You likely won't get a big name, a guy that stands out that, you know, oh my goodness, that everyone gets excited about. So
Right.
I think that that's the first thing. I like Chase Claypool. I don't think that he was on anyone else's board's top 50. And for a team that only had 6 picks, didn't have a first round pick, I don't understand if you really like him, fine, take him. But you definitely could have traded back 10, 15 picks, maybe get a 4th or 5th rounder somewhere and add some depth elsewhere. Because with how deep this wide receiver class is, I didn't understand that pick at that point. I really did like the 2nd round pick, the 3rd round pick, their 2nd pick, the edge rusher from Charlotte. I do like that. They need someone there. Bud Dupree probably won't be around after this year. So I think they are looking ahead there. The running back that they picked, Anthony McFarland out of Maryland, was very questionable. He's explosive. He's tiny.
I like his speed.
And he's someone that will play well in that offense because he catches the ball so well out of the backfield. And the Steelers like to throw it as many times as possible in a game. So, you know, he's dynamic, he's shifty, he's fast, he's explosive out of the backfield. I don't think he can carry the ball 20 times a game in the NFL. He's not big enough. He's not going to run between the tackles that way. So if they use him in the right spots, I think it works. Again, I just didn't understand in that spot. And to be honest, at that spot, I thought the center from Wisconsin that Dallas got like 4 picks later would have been a great pick for the Steelers. Or actually, they even got him later than that. The Steelers had 2 4th-round picks that I thought the Wisconsin kid would have been a great pick because they need to rebuild their offensive line too.
Right.
So I don't know. I just thought it was underwhelming. I think Chase Claypool will play well in that offense. He's a big, strong possession receiver. He can go up and get the ball. He's a red zone threat. I really do think that he'll play well. I just think with how deep that wide receiving class is, that they needed help elsewhere. And one name, especially if you're going to draft Anthony McFarland in the 4th round, the fact that they passed on running backs that they did in the 1st round with such a deep receiving core, really, I was a little confused at their approach, let's say, to the draft.
Yeah, there were plenty of good receivers that were hanging around in the later rounds that Pittsburgh could have gotten. I
And
heard
liked
about
the running back that I saw that they could have had, and I really like is Dobbins out of Ohio State. I thought he would have been a really nice fit in that offense.
I was
And
gonna transition
not only
into
did they not get him, the Ravens did. So it's their rival goes and gets the guy that I thought fit their offense best in that
right,
need, in that position, at that
right.
spot.
I was gonna transition into that because you talk about teams that had good drafts on this past weekend. Dallas made one of them, but what Baltimore did, maybe that's why many Pittsburgh fans are salty this Monday. I like Patrick Queen. They got Dobbins. Malik Harris is a linebacker who I enjoyed watching during this process. I even like the wide receiver they got in the 6th round from SMU, James Prochy. I think Baltimore did a great job. I don't think Cincinnati did a terrible job either, outside of Burrow getting a weapon in T. Higgins early. You have A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and Higgins in a 3 wide receiver set. That's pretty good for your rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I like both of their drafts. I agree with you. I thought both of them were good. The Bengals, it helps when you have 2 of the first 33 picks. You're going to get 2 nice guys, and they had to feel really good going towards the end of the first round, knowing that so many wide receivers were falling, and they weren't. I mean, you had that Michael Pittman Jr., who I thought was great at USC, and I thought he would be a really good pick. He went like 3 picks later in the 2nd round, so there were a lot of options for them to add depth at the wide receiver spot and give Burrow more weapons. And I thought they did a really good job in filling up their roster to put him in a spot to succeed.
They didn't get him an offensive lineman. I mean, that's the only criticism I had with the Higgins pick. But I don't know. I didn't really look it up. I didn't. Do they have returning starters at the tackle positions, or I don't know. But a lot of the tackles that would have been worth taking were already gone by the time they picked at 33.
Yeah, the dominant tackles I think went, and I think that's where they saw the wide receivers sitting there. Like I said, first 2 picks of the 2nd round were Pittman and Higgins, and then that Laviska Shenault went early in the 2nd round. KJ Hamler went again, midway through the 2nd round. So there was a lot of receivers that they saw in to get another weapon. You can't blame them, especially when they're, just drafted a franchise quarterback, or so they hope.
So I'm looking at what the Browns drafted, and I'm going back to the point with Pittsburgh where, they could have gotten a receiver later. Kevin, you watch more college football than I do, but the Browns, look at the Browns. They were able to get Donovan Peoples-Jones in the 6th round. How much better is Chase Claypool than Donovan Peoples-Jones? I mean,
well, this will as someone that has owned Donovan Peoples-Jones for 2 years in my college fantasy league, and been disappointed both times I've drafted him, having high expectations. He's a nice possession receiver. I don't know.
I think
he doesn't
Here's
separate.
my thing.
He didn't separate in the Big Ten against Big Ten defenses. I find it hard to find that he's going to separate in the NFL against bigger and stronger, faster corners. That's his biggest downfall.
I think he has good football left in him. I think he was playing in a bad offense in Michigan. I agree with that. I think that hurt him as well. I mean, he was a 5-star recruit out of high school. I mean, that means nothing, I guess. In the whole grand scheme of things, that really means nothing. But I saw a guy that really wasn't utilized to his potential.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I do think that, as I said, he really struggled to get open in a very simple, pro-style offense, but a very simple offense. He was probably most dangerous as a punt returner for them. And he'll probably get on the field in special teams for the Browns early on. But he was someone that have not been impressed with and had high hopes with throughout his college career.
let's stay with the wide receivers and get Malachi involved here. Thinking of wide receivers, staying in the AFC, Denver doubles. Well, they tripled up on receivers, I think, in the
Yeah.
draft. But you talk about getting Jerry Jeudy in the first, and then adding your boy Hamler in the second. I mean, that guy is an absolute burner. And, I thought, going back to your Eagles, they could have gotten protection for Wentz in the first and then went back and got Hamler in the second if they were looking for receiver help.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was kind of bummed when they get Hamler because, just being a Penn State guy, I was hoping Miles Sanders, Hamler reunite type of a deal. But Denver, holy smokes. I mean, two awesome wide receivers like that is amazing. But Hamler, I mean, they call him the human joystick. So having him out there in Denver, I mean, they already have also Deshaun Hamilton from Penn State too. He's more of, runs really good routes and good hands, but he doesn't have the speed like Hamler does. So they definitely have speed. And then, I mean, my gosh, you get Jerry Jeudy in the first round too. I mean, he got size and speed from Alabama. I mean, it's crazy. And then they also, what round was it? The 7th round, they drafted another wide receiver out of Florida. So Denver is definitely loading up weapons, and they're going to have them. They also drafted a tight end.
The tight end's a stud.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to say his name, but Michael from Missouri. I watched his tape and I was like, man, he should probably get drafted earlier in the second or third rounds. But they
call him Albert O, but he played with Drew Lock also, so they have a connection already. The quarterback there, and he's a bigger tight end, but he's more known for going out catching. He's I think they said he ran one of the fastest times as a tight end in the 40. So he's a burner also that's huge. So I think that giving them another weapon, you're right. They did a really good job at the wide receiver spot and the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, but with that size and speed, I mean, on the highlight tape, I mean, it just seemed like he was always open. And once he has his shoulders turned, flash the numbers, I mean, it was a catch every time. So he might develop into a starter soon for Denver. Let's see. Let's keep it in the AFC. Let's talk about New England because they had a really strange draft, which I guess was expected. I think there's potential for the Michigan linebacker because he's kind of a twitchy player. He can play linebacker or play on the edge. They need that after losing Cal Van Noy. And they doubled up on tight ends as well, but no quarterback. Was that shocking?
I don't think it was too shocking. I think they're in rebuilding mode. I really do. I don't think they have figured out what they want to do with the quarterback situation finalized yet. And knowing that they weren't going to get one in the first round, I think they just kind of hold their time, see what a year without Brady's going to look like. But the one surprising, a 5th-round pick on a punter, that one, kind of shocked me a little bit. There's a lot of good kickers and punt. I mean, I think I don't know how many taken exactly, but I look at punters like Blake Gilligan from Penn State. He went with the Saints as an undrafted free agent, but he was one of the best punters in the nation coming out of high school. He did really great for Penn State undrafted. So I was surprised to see him take a punter in the 5th round, but then against the Patriots, you never know with them. I mean, they just let Tom Brady walk. So overall, I agree. I think their draft was interesting. I feel like they got some decent players, but 2 tight ends in the 3rd round too. Got to rebuild. They got to try to find the next Gronk. So it'll be interesting to see if one of those guys can step up and fill in there. But it didn't really surprise me that they didn't take a quarterback. I really think they're just going to sit back and, see it's been since 2000. So we're talking almost 20 years since they've, life without Tom Brady. So we'll see where it goes from there.
They really like Stidham from Auburn. I know that people were talking about that last year and that they were saying that Belichick really thought that he could be a guy that can give – I don't know if they think he can be a franchise guy, but I know that they really like him. He was their, like, 5th or 6th round draft pick last year. And for him to get a year under his belt watching Brady, learning from Brady, you never know what that can do. And I think they're willing to. I mean, I saw a report come out today that they have no interest in signing or in looking at Cam Newton. So, which is, I think, what a lot of people thought if they didn't draft a quarterback, they'll go after, one of these remaining, Andy Dalton's out there they'd have to trade for. But then there was Jameis Winston, who was available until, obviously he's picked up now. Cam Newton. I think there were some other guys too. But I think I agree. I don't think that it's much of a surprise that they didn't draft a quarterback.
Do you think Miami or Buffalo I'm not even going to look at the Jets and see what they did, but I feel like those are the two teams that maybe looking at this, current, this time period, like this is the time where we can leapfrog over New England finally coming up in 2020. Do you think Miami and Buffalo did enough in this draft to set that up?
I'll just go real quick. I think Buffalo had a pretty decent draft, especially for not having a first-round pick. Their second-round pick that they started with, which would have been their first pick, getting the defensive end from Iowa, Espinosa. Yeah, man, he is a beast.
I like him.
Yeah, he is awesome.
I liked him for Dallas.
Penn State. Yeah, he's great. So I think they got a great pick there. And then I think they got a great value pick with Jake Fromm in the 5th round. I mean, the quarterback of Georgia. I mean, Georgia's playing some great ball. And with Jake, I think that's a great pick in the 5th round.
I think Zach Moss pairing him with Singletary in the backfield is going to do well for them in that offense.
Yeah.
He's a good runner. He's a strong runner. He runs through guys. I actually like their whole draft up and down. I honestly can't say anything. I don't know who Tyler Bass, their kicker from Georgia Southern, is. Unfortunately, I don't go that far into my college process. We're following and charting guys. But I agree that the D lineman from Iowa is a stud. For him to fall all the way down to, like, he was in the 50s too. For him to fall that
he
far,
didn't measure well in the combine, I guess. But
then in the two receivers that they got, I thought were really good players. Gabriel Davis was one of the big guys from Central Florida that made that offense work. That was so explosive. He was a big home run ball guy. And Isaiah Hodgins from Oregon State was one of the Pac-12's best. I mean, he plays at Oregon State. No one knows him. But he was one of the best receivers in the Pac-12 last year, and they got him in the 6th round. So I think they did up and down. I thought they had a really good draft. And I think they were the closest to the Patriots. I mean, they've showed that recently anyway. They were the closest to the Patriots anyway. So I think that they are the team in position to knock them off the top if someone's going to do it this year.
Yeah, I like Espinosa. I think he's like he might be like a mini J.J. Watt, I think. I mean, if there could ever be a mini J.J. Watt, but he looks like that in his highlights at least. I guess we're going to –
As for Miami, other than getting Tua, I was really under – I didn't see anything that really jumped off the board from them. I thought that they reached for a couple guys. I didn't think that they did as much as they could have because they had a ton of picks, and I was really kind of underwhelmed by what they ended that first. They had 3 first-round picks, and they came out of it with Tua, which everyone kind of figured that they would get him. Austin Jackson has been good for USC. He's at lineman. If they need help at line, okay, I get it. But I think that they got him at 18. They probably could have had him at 30.
Yeah.
And then they got the guy at 30 that they got was a cornerback that a lot of people saw going in the 2nd round. So if you have 3 first-round picks and you're using 2 of them in guys that might have been available in the 2nd round, I just don't see a lot of value in that.
And they didn't add enough weapons. I mean, at least for my liking, a lot of people mocked running back to them either in the 1st or 2nd round, and that didn't happen. And
well, they traded who'd they get from the 49ers?
I think Bretta.
Matt. Yeah. So they did use a pick to trade, and
okay.
So I mean, they did address that, but you know, he's not exactly someone that you're gonna, you know, all of a
He's a
sudden
veteran.
declare yourselves. Right,
He
you're not
would-
gonna say, oh, that's the difference in winning the division or not.
Right. All right. So I guess we're gonna go up until the 40-minute limit here because we only have 5 more minutes.
How about
Let's-
Jordan Love? I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Let's talk about the
that.
NFC and what was Green Bay thinking. I mean, again, we just talked about the situation in Philadelphia where you know the value at that quarterback position. So it shouldn't be all that shocking if you look at the the depth chart behind Aaron Rodgers. There wasn't much there. It people just didn't see it coming, but it really isn't all that surprising. At least I think that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was too surprising. I mean, you can tell the relationship with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers is starting to get frayed over the past couple of years. Just comments that he's making, you know, I think his time's short. I don't see him retiring there. I look for him to probably be moved on. But yeah, it was a surprise by I think everyone outside of Green Bay. But I think inside the GM and the head coach and everything, I think they know what might be happening possibly to Aaron Rodgers. But Jordan Love, I mean, everyone's saying he's a great quarterback, which he is. He's put up some great numbers, looks good. But I was surprised they traded up to get him in the first round, 21st overall, I think it was. I felt they probably could have got him later, probably like the late 20s, maybe early 30s, because I didn't see any other teams really stepping up to take him that high up. But I was surprised. I'm just glad it wasn't my Eagles doing something like that. At least we waited to get Jalen Hurts. We didn't trade up for him like that. So I feel a little better about that one. But, yeah, it's a surprise. I think it'll affect Aaron Rodgers' play, too. I mean, now, you know, when you put that out there and you take someone for your position in the first round like that, that makes a statement.
I think so too. I think that this will light a fire under him and want to prove that he should be there longer. That I mean, he's got 4 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy that they're going to use a first-round pick on a guy that has 4 years left on his contract and is almost certainly a Hall of Fame guy that has 4 years left on his contract. So I think that's just going to light a fire under him. Now, the fact that they didn't address the wide receiver spot blows my mind. I'm more surprised at that than the fact that they traded up to get Jordan Love, a quarterback, because they needed a wide receiver more than any other position, most people thought. I know I did, and I'm not even someone that follows the Packers or the NFL that much. I was really stunned at that. That's what surprised me the most.
In this draft, in this deep wide receiver draft, though they say next year's is going to be even more crazy with the LSU guy and who else. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, there's Jordan Ross from Clemson, and there's 2 guys from LSU and 2 guys from Alabama. But I mean, if you have Aaron Rodgers for 2 more years or 3 more years or however many more years, you probably want to get him a weapon now rather than wait. I would think.
Right.
Yeah, I think that goes back to there's probably more that we don't know about too. They're not getting Aaron Rodgers weapons. They're drafting up to get another quarterback in the first round for instead of relying on Rodgers. I think there's something going on that we probably don't know about as fans would be my guess. I don't know why you wouldn't help your franchise quarterback out that has 4 more years, been very healthy, been very productive too.
I mean, if you can rebuild everything else while you're, grooming another quarterback, maybe that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right. So what are they going to do here? They're going to do a countdown or?
No, I think it just cuts off.
Oh, really? All right. Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Malachi. We'll be in touch. Thanks, Kevin, again. And I guess we're done
No
here.
problem. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya. Nice meeting you, Kevin.
All right. See ya. Thank you. Nice meeting you too. Take care.